it was honestly laughable. They make the stormtroopers in The Mandalorian so fucking dumb. G'day guys and welcome back to Raging Rhino. Alright, I just finished watching the season finale of The Mandalorian, Season 2, Episode 8, Chapter 16, The Rescue. This episode, just my general thoughts, I think 2/3 of this episode was horrible. Absolutely horrible. I was pretty much laughing a lot of the time. The last third was very emotional and quite good, actually. They definitely, they haven't repaired anything, but they definitely gave the fans what they want to see. And we'll get into that. If you've watched the episode, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. If you haven't, spoilers from here on out. So if you haven't, go and watch the episode and come back and finish watching the review. Okay, it pretty much starts off with Boba Fett in pursuit of an Imperial shuttle. This Imperial shuttle just so happens to have the cloner guy on it from the first season, the Imperial cloner dude with the glasses. It just seemed very convenient. I don't know how we got here. I understand that they had the tracker they had the information to get to Moff Gideon's ship, but this Imperial shuttle just happened to be in the middle of nowhere and they were in pursuit of it. So that's how it sort of starts. There's some weird dialogue that happens between Cara Dune and the Imperial shuttle pilot while he's got the blaster to his head. I'm going to quickly run through this episode because, again, this first 2/3 of the episode, absolute garbage writing. It's all written just to get to this highlight right at the end. So after that, we get the Mandalorian and, of course, the Chapter 16, The Rescue comes up, and it cuts to some planet where Bo-Katan is, and they, of course, ask for Bo-Katan's help. The dude's not there anymore with them. Bo-Katan must have sent him off on some mission, and it's her and the other Mandalorian chick. I can't remember her name. Her and Boba Fett have a brawl, and Bo-Katan steps in and stops them from fighting. Bo-Katan talks about how Boba Fett isn't a Mandalorian, but he explained in a previous episode that he is a Mandalorian. I'm getting confused with how Dave Filoni wants to portray Boba Fett, if he wants to be a Mandalorian or not. I don't know. I'm so lost with that. There was a few laughable moments in that. And then, of course, they come up with the plan to infiltrate Gideon's ship and they execute it. Now, there's one thing that I noticed is they were traveling through hyperspace. They had the Imperial shuttle in front and Boba Fett behind. They were traveling. Now, I know that they could travel through hyperspace like separately to the same coordinates and that would be fine, one straight after the other. But to see them in like a hyperspace tunnel or something like that in the same picture, I don't know if that's real or not. I'm sure people will let me know in the comments below, or you EU guys, please let me know because I actually want to know, because hyperspace is one of the things that Disney keeps deciding to wreck. They infiltrate the ship the way that they said that they were going to, and it's just, let's just walk out and blast everyone. It was honestly laughable. They make the stormtroopers in The Mandalorian so fucking dumb. So dumb. There's one moment where, I can't remember who it is, I think it's May from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. She shoots one of them, and the dude's got his back facing to him, and instead of turning, you'd hear it, instead of turning, he's just standing there waiting to be hit again. It was honestly laughable. They are just walking through the ship, killing everyone. They get stopped a couple of times, but there's no real risks. Bo-Katan and the other chick come up, and they take him out on the bridge. It was honestly, like I said, laughable. I was sitting there the whole time like, okay, this is just dumb. They get to the bridge. Of course, that is all a distraction so that Mando can go straight to the child. He's got to stop the Dark Troopers in the process as well while he's off doing that, which he does, and he gets them all sucked out into the vacuum of space. Now, there was another moment in this where I was a bit like, is the Mandalorian's being punched like constantly into the wall, into his helmet. Now, if we go back to season 1, where Cara Dune meets Mando, she punches him in the head and he goes down from that, like wounded, and she's fine, right? But this Dark Trooper is pounding his face, and like he doesn't, like, it sort of maybe shocks him a little bit, but he's kind of sort of fine. Anyway, he eventually beats that Dark Trooper using the spear, and it gets all of the other ones sucked out into the vacuum of space. Oh, there was another moment while all the women on the team were traveling to the bridge. There was a moment where Cara Dune says, "My gun is jammed."
My gun's jammed.
Now, first of all, I'm pretty sure blasters can be jammed, but again, correct me if I'm wrong. But I don't think they've ever been referred to as guns in Star Wars. And again, I'm sure people will correct me if I'm wrong. It was just one of those moments for me where I was like, hold on a second. That's not what somebody would say. They say my blaster's jammed. So that was just a little nitpick that sort of sucked me out of that moment a little bit. But again, the moment was overshadowed by the fact that they were literally walking through this ship. Like, not being pinned down once. Like, they're just walking through, blasting, not taking cover. There's stormtroopers running straight at them so they can be taken out. Man, it was laughable. Laughable. So, of course, Moff Gideon is standing in the detention center holding the Darksaber over Grogu. And Mando walks in. They make a deal. He turns off the saber that he just wants the child. He can keep the saber. And Moff Gideon, of course, goes, okay, take the child, shuts down the saber. As he's picking up the kid, he activates the saber and has a go at him. The fight begins. And, of course, Mando beats him with using the spear. There was another moment in that where he's right up against it and his fingers are showing and you can see the blade moving sort of up and down the spear. And all I'm thinking is, Gideon, just slide down that and you'll chop his fingers off. The whole time I was thinking that. Again, it's kind of like that, what I've been saying about Mandalorian, especially recently, is it is shallow. The writing is shallow. Again, the final third of this episode was quite emotional and had a good moment and a nice redeeming moment. A little bit of a redeeming moment. It doesn't correct anything, but it is redeeming. It was what we wanted to see. It was what I liked about this episode. So, of course, because Mando beats Gideon in combat and he wins the saber off him, now he owns the saber. And that all gets explained when Bo-Katan, he's pretty much taunts Bo-Katan to start the fight now. Because Bo-Katan wants the saber and she can't take the saber. He can't yield or anything like that. He needs to fight it out with her for her to win the saber off him. And of course, then they're interrupted by all the Dark Troopers coming back into the ship, using their rockets on their feet and actually coming back into the ship. While they're basically trying to infiltrate the bridge, Moff Gideon's again taunting them, saying that all of you guys are going to be dead except for me and the child, and I've won once again. In that moment, an X-Wing rolls up. And of course, it's a Jedi. We were all expecting someone else. I will say credit to them for keeping this under wraps. And it's Luke Skywalker. And the first time you see him, I think you see him through the black and white screen, so you can't really tell. You can kind of see it would be Luke Skywalker, but then once it cuts to actually being there, like Luke's perspective, you see the green blade and you know it's him. You see his sort of the glove over his robotic hand. Really, really cool moment. And he goes through the ship and just takes out all the Dark Troopers. Just awesome. Now, if people want to nitpick at me and say, oh, how come they can't run through and just shoot them down and Luke can? Well, Luke is a Jedi. It's different. You know, you would expect at least one person in the first infiltration to actually get wounded or at least get hit. There's a lot of blasters being fired and they do have a lot of troops. Anyway, this Luke Skywalker scene was awesome. Seeing him unleash, using the Force, pushing these Dark Troopers away, pulling them, grabbing them, crushing them. It was awesome. It was fucking awesome. And I believe that Mark Hamill was credited for it. So either he did it or they used his likeness enough. I think they must have just de-aged him. And it was really good. There was some great dialogue that happened at the end. Of course, he's come to get the child, and Grogu doesn't want to leave. Luke tells Mando that he's asking for permission, basically, and Mando gives him permission to go with him, says he'll see him again. He also removes his helmet so that he can see his face. So I think Mando's starting to go a little bit more away from his ways. This is not the way. And yeah, that scene was quite emotional. And I think there'll be a lot of people out there that were quite, it hit them in the feels a bit, that moment. And essentially, you see R2-D2 as well. He rolls in and has a few beeps and things with Grogu. There's quite a long time that takes place. It's like half a minute at least of them just standing there, and it cuts to R2 and it cuts to Grogu, and there's not really any dialogue or anything happening. It's a little strange. But Luke picks him up, takes him with him, says basically that, he needs to be trained and he'll look after him and that sort of thing. And the episode ends. So season over. No one dies. Boba Fett didn't die. Cara Dune didn't die. May from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. didn't die. Bo-Katan and her sidekick didn't die. And Mando didn't die. Baby Yoda didn't die. Luke shows up and takes him. So my overall thoughts again, the writing is still shallow. There wasn't much dialogue in that moment between like Luke and Mando and the child and all of that. It was fine. And again, it's going to hit a lot of people in the feels. I know it. And a lot of people wanted to see this Luke Skywalker in the sequel trilogy, and we never got that. So now that we're seeing that, yes, it's fucking awesome. I loved it. It was sick seeing Luke Skywalker unleash, using the Force, the Jedi Master that we should have seen, that we know that he is. Awesome. But again, the first 2/3, pretty average. There's a couple of moments there that I'm not too sure about, that hyperspace thing with the two ships in the same tunnel. And Cara Dune calling her blaster a gun. Like little things like that there. But again, the biggest thing was the fact that they were just running through this ship and completely took out an entire ship's worth of stormtroopers. Now, I know that it's not at capacity, but still, they're making the stormtroopers pretty fucking dumb in The Mandalorian. That's essentially my thoughts. Please let me know what you thought in the comments below. I'm sure there'll be a lot of people that will like this episode. I think it was the best episode out of all of them because of the Luke Skywalker scene. But the Luke Skywalker scene isn't The Mandalorian. It's not what essentially the show should be about. And of course, we're probably now going to get the announcement of another show, another backdoor pilot here for Luke Skywalker and Grogu. And we'll see what happens with an announcement. I'm sure they'll be announcing something soon now that this episode is aired. Anyway, again, please let me know what you thought in the comments below. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you in Casual Rage very, very shortly on my channel. Get ready for that. We'll break down this entire episode and we'll give our thoughts there. So please catch us over there and we'll see you in the next one. Later.